under these circumstances, needing a win or two in a big series in September, it is the same thing, BT, and I've had it. And now, which a day ago was looking like a foregone conclusion that the Mets eventually would punch their ticket to the postseason, now they are in real trouble.
Hold on, let me grab the trumpet here. Should I start playing taps for you? I mean, are you serious, dude?
Yes, they're in trouble. They are in one game up with 5 to play, and who the hell knows when they're playing these games.
Well, that's problematic. Going to be sitting in that city and languishing possibly for a couple of days where who knows when they're going to play. Listen, I understand last night was jarring. Mets didn't look good. Now, Severino had some bad luck, a couple of, a little bleeders, a little 7-footer in front of the mound, 2 13 hoppers to right field, but they didn't hit. They kicked the ball around a little bit. They lose. I got it. It's easy to connect the dots and say, here we go again. And you know what? You might go there again. I don't know. But if I said, Sal, and it's coming from me, what's the one word? Choose one word to describe the 2024 Mets.
Yeah, resilient.
Okay. So, and they've earned that tag. They've earned that moniker, and they've earned that belief. I don't know what transpires the final 5 games. I don't. And I know you're not tapping out. And I get it. You get flooded with these emotions here, but I don't know. Like these Mets with the Senga injury, with the Lindor injury, with the Lindor start, with the Alonso storyline all year, Viento's down, then up, and this and that, all the things that we've discussed. Let them finish the series.
Fair enough, and you're right. And I've used that word. We've used that word several times, even with the tough West Coast trip or this or that. I'm like, yeah, but they've been resilient. They've earned our trust. This is different. There's 5 games left. 2 of them, I'm assuming that they play these damn games. And this bleeping weather. Like, are you kidding me with this weather? Because that's not going to help the Mets. That's going to hurt the Mets, this weather, whether they have to travel to Milwaukee Friday morning, whether they play 2 games on Monday. Like, this is not good. You asked me yesterday, I'd rather just have the 3 games in Atlanta, let their fate be whatever it may be. But even if you, outside of the weather, the look and feel like all the resiliency and all the chemistry and the OMG and the grimace and all the fun that they had, it felt like it was 1999 again. It felt like it was 2001. It felt like it was 2022. Watching that team again in that ballpark or that city against that team, it was lifeless. There was no feel for, all right, they'll be all right, or, oh, they'll come back in this game, or, oh, they'll be resilient. I think the Braves have all the confidence in the world. I think if they play 2 games today, they play 2 games on Monday, the Braves are going to win those 2 games. That's just how I feel. So, yes, they've been resilient and they've earned that trust, but against this team in that city, it's just different.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is until it's not. Understood. You have a different manager. You've got 3 different pitchers taking the mound here. It would have been interesting to see if that game would have taken a different twist. Lindor was getting ready to go in. I think he's going to play today if they play today. Listen, man, this is a lot more than I thought you guys would have this year. I know that doesn't provide any solace right now, but every single time, I mean every single time, even Friday night to an extent, when we were there, me, you, and Hoff and Gallo, they get smacked around. Ottavino comes in to relieve Peterson. They get tattooed. We leave the game early. They come back. What do? They win Saturday. What do? They win Sunday, national TV in front of the entire baseball world. So I understand it. You don't scale the mountain until you do. And I could come up with a million other corny cliches. You're living this, and you've lived this for a long time, along with the other great Met fans. But from somebody who didn't think that they would have a prayer this season, and that somebody is me, I think they're going to bounce back. Yeah. And even if it's not this series, they're going to bounce back in Milwaukee. They're going to be a playoff team.
And those things are all possible.
They're not going to collapse, Al.
Yeah, and I love hearing you say that because those things are all possible. I just can't get myself there because I've been saying for 2 months, yes, this is great. They've been resilient, but it's all going to me, it all comes down to how they play against Atlanta. And they themselves, like, Mendoza could be like, whatever happened in the past doesn't mean anything. Yeah,
he's got to say that. It's true.
Well, to him, but what about to Nimmo? What about to Lindor? Because what about to freaking Pete Alonso? Like, when I watch the Braves, they dominate the Mets. Michael Harris gets better. Like, you about, the Braves are down. I didn't see a bad Braves team last night. The Braves aren't as good this year. Oh, really? You could have fooled me because they're doing the same thing. It wasn't even like an excuse me win or a close win. They dominated last night, hitting home runs left and right. And you said, like, yeah, bad luck. But that's par for the course. That is par. All the good Mets luck that they had against Philadelphia, Bulls hitting bags and all this stuff, the bloopers and bleeders that the Mets find away, infield singles, all that that evaporates. It goes away in Atlanta. And then the Braves are making Superman-like catches, hitting home runs left and right, hitting a ball twice that finds a hole for a base hit. And it's really a non-competitive 5-1 ho-hum win for Atlanta, which then gives them confidence. Like, we look at it from the Mets perspective. Take 2 of 3, and you go to the postseason. Braves are like, okay, we're 2 games back. We sweep the Mets. We're a game up. And I guarantee you that's what they're thinking. And we haven't even seen Chris Sale yet. Like, yeah, the Mets have been resilient. You're right. They're going to have to. They haven't earned anything yet. And that's all I've been saying for a long time. And this is going to be the toughest test. It always was going to be the toughest test. And now, BT, it's even tougher.
You know, there's a point where it's got to be beyond the ancillary pieces. You know, the Iglesiases and the Winkers and the other, elements, even beyond the Cunha, who I know he booted. The shortstop was very hard last night. Even their shortstop had a problem there.
He booted a couple.
It came up on Acuna in the first inning. I don't really fault him on that. I like the way he's playing. But the bottom line is that if the word to describe the Mets is resilient, then I think the storyline once again comes down to, you know who? Pete. So those secondary figures are a nice, cute story, and they've helped get the Mets here. But, Harris last night going 8-9 pitches to start the game, then getting on base, then going to Oppo, then making that sick grab in center field on that little looping line drive. Ozuna, who's been an MVP candidate right there with Ohtani Lindor, he's going Oppo, he's going yard. At the end of the day, we can avoid this. We can focus on the Mets' misery down in that ballpark and the other ballpark and Chipper Jones, and you can pull up any other Brave that Rick Camp, even though the Mets were good there in 85 with that ridiculous home run at like 3 a.m. The bottom line is the Mets need their superstar to help.
Yeah, well,
they need Pete Alonso to do something here.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Vientos looks like their superstar last night, and we'll get to Lindor, and hopefully he can be back. There was some encouraging signs last night, putting on a uniform, putting on his cleats, getting out there. He was going to pinch hit if who made the last out, whoever in front of him would have gotten on. I forget who it was there. I mean, was it Vientos? Whatever. Lindor would have pinch hit there had the game been extended. I don't know if that was the right spot to use him, but it does give you the signs that he's coming back if they do play today or whatever, in fact, that they do play. But I'll tell you, they've been resilient all year long. It means nothing. Just like you want to say, well, 99 means nothing as it pertains to now. Whatever they did so far this year means nothing. They've got 5 games to go. They better figure out a way to finish this because this would be a disaster. And for the first time, I'm really starting to feel like now they're in trouble. BT and Sal on the Fan, our friends at Town Fair Tire, remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. John is in Staten Island. What's up, John?
How you doing, fellas? Like you, Sal, I'm annoyed about yesterday in the Braves, but my main goal is just to get in any way necessary. So this is what you got. This is the best case scenario for the Mets right now. These 2 games get washed. Okay, Arizona goes 2-2 over their last 4, starting with the Giants tonight and San Diego on the weekend. The Mets win 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee. Then they clinch. They get a spot. They might have to go to Atlanta to play, because you have to decide between Atlanta and Arizona, but they would be in. So, and if they get rained out tonight and tomorrow, they miss Sal, because Sal will pitch on the weekend.
That could be a good thing, John, and thank you for the call. Yeah, BT, this is fascinating conversation.
There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, there's so many variables. So the weather has gotten worse for today. Right now, I'm obviously no weatherman, but the weather has gotten worse for today. By the way, if you do want to have a weatherman, Jeff Banson reached out yesterday. So I was like, I got to talk to BT and the producer. He's like, come on and talk some weather. So whatever. I forgot to bring that up to you off the air, so I bring it on. Shout out to Jeff Banson. Used to be at News 12, friendly, whatever. But anyway, the weather has gotten worse in Atlanta today.
Yeah.
So, just using common sense, it doesn't feel like they're going to be able to play today, right?
Not unless they really move this game up, and probably not.
And when
tomorrow's absolutely no shot tomorrow.
Well, right. So we knew yesterday, and this is why Major League Baseball, they've got their heads so far up their rear ends, it's hard to fathom. Why wouldn't you play 2 games yesterday? So now let's just paint the best case scenario. I guess the best case scenario would be the 2 games against Atlanta don't mean anything, and they don't have to play them. But that's not going to be realistic. At least one of the games is going to need to be played, you would think.
I would think so.
Okay, so let's say the Mets are in the postseason, but they still have to play those 2 games on Monday. Then they play 2 games on Monday and have to go to San Diego on Tuesday to play. They're getting hosed here, even if they get in. And by the way, 2 games on Monday, maybe the Braves can line up the pitching to say we want Chris Sale for that. I don't know how they're going to line that up. 2 games on Monday, and the Mets may need those games to get in. That's a problem, too.
Well, I don't know. Listen, now we're starting to just throw stuff out there. I don't know where the Rays are this weekend, but Is Tropicana Field open? I mean, we've seen situations where the Bills have played at Ford Field in the NFL.
Right.
I mean, maybe you lean on that. There's a way to do this, but it's almost like the more curveballs that get thrown at the Mets here, including things that you cannot control, like the weather and other logistical items, does it just kind of fit the season?
Yeah, well,
this is the Mets.
Yeah, well, they're going to have to be resilient through this as well. By the way, the Mets, I don't believe, are leaving Atlanta until, I believe, I don't know this for a fact. Somebody was texting me, whatever, today, but Friday morning. Now, because I don't know if there's a way out. Like, let's say the game gets postponed tonight. Maybe they can leave before.
Wow, so they'll fly in on Friday morning to play Friday night in Milwaukee?
I believe so. I mean, well, think about it. Forget even what I like.
You can be sitting in a hotel room for 3 days.
Which is another problem. You can't fly out Thursday, right? We're assuming
probably not.
Okay, so you can't fly out Thursday, and if they don't fly out like in the next few hours,
they can't because they're going to try to play.
Right. Well. So then do the math. That would mean that they're going to fly out of Atlanta on Friday morning, potentially, to play Milwaukee.
I'm hearing a lot of excuses. I'm hearing a lot of this. And dude,
they're in trouble.
They're in trouble.
They're in trouble. One game
you
up with
actually think that they're going to really fall short?
I think they're in big trouble here.
Okay, define big trouble.
Big trouble.
So meaning they're not going to be a playoff team.
I think
because I got the trumpet right here.
I think there's
I'll enlist the I'll start playing taps for you. We could just spare everybody the shenanigans. Is it over? Because I don't think that it's over.
I'm not going to say it's over yet, but for the first time since they've dug out of this, like basically since early June. For the first time, I'm starting to feel like you got their plane up and out. For the first time, I'm starting to feel like they're in serious trouble. I'm not saying it's over.
Let me ask you this, Al, before we get to these goals. What if they played a better game last night but lost? Is it the way they played that really...
Yeah, it's how they looked again.
So if they lost 5-4 and it was a more crisp performance... You feel a little differently or no?
Yes, nothing from last night was outside of Vientos. I was not encouraged by anything last night. Yeah. And even more discouraging, the way Atlanta played.
Yeah, no, they look pretty good.
Yeah, did that look like a down Atlanta team to you? I didn't see Austin Riley or Acuna, sure, but Harris looks like a superstar again.
Ozuna did his thing.
Yeah, Ozuna.
Starting pitching pretty good.
Here's the other part. You mentioned this. This simplifies why the Braves have dominated the Mets. Their stars are better than the Mets stars, and it's not even close. Even if they're out, even if some of their stars are out, they still have better stars, especially with Lindor being out for the Mets. But Pete's there, Nimmo's there, doesn't matter. The Brave stars are better. Rick is in Tampa. What's up, Rick?
Oh, what's up? It's just almost like the Braves like, okay, well, we got the Mets now. We got this. Let's just step up our game and we'll beat them like we always do. But regarding the weather that's there, because I'm here in Tampa now, which is gorgeous out here, and it's not actually the hurricane until tomorrow. The weather that's in Atlanta now is generated from something else. So if they could sneak the game in early, they have a chance. But they're not going anywhere after this because obviously tomorrow they're not going in. Like you said, they're not flying till Friday. So that presents quite a problem for the Mets. But, what about Severino? Again, it'd be, BT, we dealt with Sevy for all those years. Mm-hmm. Can he just come up big in that game for you?
Rick, I got to be honest with you, Rick, and we know what Severino did with the Yankees in big games, but I don't necessarily think that that's applicable or transferable to last night. Some people want to make it that. Like I heard Evan and those guys talking about that, which Severino's going to show up. Can you trust him? I don't know. The guy that I watched pitch last night wasn't horrendous. A pretty good pitch where you basically saw the bat in half, and there's a 9-footer down the third base line. Now, you can't throw that in the outfield, and you want to keep him at first base.
Well, Alvarez screwed that up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess you could look at it that way. Either or.
Somebody screwed it up.
You can take command of that, but either way, it wasn't squared up. Right. And then, the Laureano hit, he literally hit the ball twice. I've done that on the golf course. I've never seen a major league hitter do that, hit a ball twice. That went, I think the exit velo was 61 miles an hour. And then the other hit, I think that was Albies. It was like a 7-hopper to right field. And now, Harris's hit was down the line was pretty hard, but let's not make it seem like Severino came out and he got rocked. There was the error, and I'm going to exonerate the young man because I think it took a bad hop, but there was the error by Acuna, which extended the inning. They didn't turn the double play there. There was the 9 or 10 bullpen pitch at bat to Harris to start the game where Harris just won the battle. So he had 25 or 26 pitches after one. But don't tell me that Severino was awful. That's just lazy.
Yeah, I don't think Severino was
lazy.
bad. That's, to me, that was the least of the concerns. Like,
I agree.
From last night. I'm not looking at say, God,
dude, he put up 2 zeros in the first 2 innings.
Yeah, how about the Mets offense do something? They got shut down the entire night.
Yep.
Severino could have thrown a no-hitter and the Mets might have lost that game.
4 hits, 2 of which I believe came from, one definitely came from Acuna and 2 came from Vientos.
Charlie is in Bethpage. What's up, Charlie?
Good morning, boys. How we doing?
Hey, Charlie.
Very depressing. You get fired up. But, Sal, I'm going to give them a pass because every time this year I buried them and beat them, they proved me wrong. So we do have 2 more games against them. I don't want to work on other people. I want them to do their job. Go win these next 2 games, and then we have no issues. But, I mean, the weather's not helping us at all. But the best. Where are those 30 runs we had in 3 days? A night like last night, you had a day off, you got rest. The bat should have been alive. They were just so flat last night. How do you go flat into Atlanta? We lose to them all the time. You think they would have been fired up? This team didn't show me nothing last night. But I go down on them. I just can't.
See, here we go. The one thing, and listen, Charlie, I appreciate the passion. I understand. You know, some people are already resigned to them, you know, falling apart here, which I'm not, and neither is Sal. But some of you,
no, I'm not there.
I know you're not there yet. Some of you are already pushing this towards the direction of terminal, like it's fatal because it's the Mets and it's the Braves. All right. But the one thing that you can't do, you can, but I don't think it's fair, nor is it accurate. Like Charlie calls up, passion aside, which I love. You know, you make it seem like they didn't try. You know, you can never delineate between unless you have somebody just loafing on the bases. You know, you tell me the Mets didn't go in there trying to win last night? I mean, how do you say the kid? How do you say his name again?
Schwellenbacher or whatever.
I mean, he's pretty nasty. He has really – I've seen him pitch a few times this year, once against the Mets, where he had like 11 or 12 strikeouts. He is good. When he's on, he's tough. The Braves are good.
Right, but they just beat Zach Wheeler on Sunday night. I mean,
I understand, Sal.
I know, but that's
it's baseball.
Yes,
it really
you're
is.
right. You're right. But why is it always the same bleeping thing with this team in that ballpark? This was supposed to be different. Everybody was saying it was supposed to be different. Oh, you're nuts for comparing 2022 to 2024. They're in a much better spot right now. This team is confident. They've still got that mojo. The Braves are down. Like, I could give you the list of reasons why everybody logically said this is not the same. History has nothing to do with it, blah, 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 blah. And then I say, okay, well, great, because the Mets just took 3 out of 4 from the Phillies, who were significantly better than the Braves. Zach Wheeler better than whatever the Braves have. And yet the Mets go in there in game 1, and they get shut down by Atlanta. Harris is making Superman plays. Olsen doing well. Ozuna doing well. The pitcher shuts them down, and they haven't even thrown Chris Sale yet. And the Mets can't get a hit. They were non-competitive last night. So all those logical reasons, that made sense. I mean, there's logic behind it. Out the window in game 1 in Atlanta, the house of horrors.
Listen, the good news is, unlike, you know, some of these more so in basketball than hockey, it's not necessarily like a matchup thing. You know, I don't, even though Sale has been phenomenal. I mean, geez.
Right, they can beat him.
Yeah, it's not like you look at certain teams in other sports, like this team just doesn't match up with that team. I don't look at it this way. You know, because I don't look at baseball that way. Do your job, show up. You're going to be in a hotel for a couple of days, get the weather reports, just bear through it. Plow through. He got 5 games to win a couple. Finish the job. That's it. No excuses. 888-808-1019. Otherwise, this year, we wasted a lot of time on the Mets. That's it. Finish the job.